Hi everybody, this is Flash001 USA. It's Friday, May 31st, 2013. It's about 7:30 p.m. here. This is the big day for me to hook the generator up to the gasifier. So what I want to do real quickly is to show you the system and what we're going to be running here. Alright, I've got a little 2 kilowatt generator here, and I've got the wood gasifier carburetor mounted up on it, and I've got the air filter on this. I'm going to zoom in and let you see it. And this is how I interface to it. So the original carburetor is still on this, nothing has been modified. This will actually run on gas if I want to. Now there's no gas in here. I want to show you something. I'm not about to do like others do and pull their tanks off. There's no gas in here. There hadn't been gas in here since last year. So there that is. I decided to leave it empty. There's my 1-inch tube for carrying the wood gas to the carburetor to the generator. And my tri-filter system. Now I did trim this thing down because I feel this gasifier is a little bit cleaner, so I didn't need all the big tall pipes that I had with the FEMA, but I'm still filtering because I don't want to chance anything, plus I don't want to be carrying any kind of carbon soots into the engine. And speaking of the engine, this generator here, this motor here needs to be rebuilt. I had loaned it to somebody and they ran it without oil in it, or with not enough oil in it, locked the engine up on it. I had to take the heads off and get a piece of wood and beat them loose and everything, get it working again. So I figured if I'm going to test this thing with the generator, I would rather do it with this one. So if there is any kind of issues that I don't damage a good generator, I got my good one downstairs. So this thing here is not running on, on 100% by any means, but it's good enough to test with. And I will be hooking up an electric heater to it. So that'd be a good load for it, because I want to test this thing under load. Now, according to everything that I've read on wood gas, you're going to get about 70% efficiency, maybe even up to, less than that. It could be 55, 60, depending. So with this engine right here, I'm not, going to be counting on this thing doing a great job, but it'll be good enough to test with, and I feel if I get 1,000 watts off of it, then I know that I've got it in the pocket. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut the camera off because I want to go take a bicycle ride. This is something I do every day when I get off work. And when I get back, we're going to light this thing off and see what happens with it. So we're going to pause out. Okay guys, I'm going to be running on wood pellets for this test, and I'm only going to run for a couple of hours, provided everything works and the generator runs. I'm just wanting to do some preliminaries. So with that said, let's get started. Alright guys, we got a flare, and it's a good orange flare, so that's a good sign right there. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hook this up to the filtered side in about 2 or 3 minutes, let this thing warm up just a tad bit more. And I'm actually running the fan on this thing on low, so I'm not trying to draw a big flame on it, but I am wanting to get up a good bed of coals before I start pulling to my filters. So I'm going to pause back out, and I'll bring you guys back in when I go to the filtered side here. People, we're running off wood gas. Got the generator hooked up. It cranked right up. I was amazed. So what I'm going to do now is I want to do some power testing this and just see how this thing's going to act. So I've still got some adjustments to make on it, no doubt about it. And let's get started. back up for this thing so you guys can hear my voice. I've been at it for about 30 minutes now, and the generator seems to be running extremely smooth. And I can definitely tell there's a loss for wood gas, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've loaded this generator down to about 1,200 watts, almost 1,300 watts, and I am dealing with an engine that's gnawed up for par. I was not about to hook my good generator up to this thing until I can actually watch the clear gas pipes to make sure I don't have any tar dripping or puddling anywhere. And I don't have anything in them, so I've been running about 30 minutes. Now, after I run about an hour or so, because I've got the pipe sloping on the ground, if there's any nasty uglies in there, I'm going to see them. And I would rather cause this engine damage than my good generator. So there it is. And it'll pull 1,000 watts with no problem and keep it up at 60 hertz. But you start getting over 1,000 watts with it, and it starts cutting the RPMs back. But it's the nature of the beast. I can tell now that in reality it would be better to have an oversized engine for this generator head that would allow it to actually tug more gas in the gasifier, which would allow a bigger engine to run and handle this generator head. So that's my next thing to do right there. We'll eventually to change this thing out and put a larger engine on it, so I have this along with my other generators to back up. But can't complain, because 1,000 watts is plenty enough power to run small items. Like I said, an electric heater is about worst case scenario that you'd be running off a generator head. And that's putting out hot air. I'm going to flip it on high and listen to the generator. Hear it? But it's running steady. Now go back to low. That's 1,500 watts. And that's 1,200 watts, 1,300 watts. Okay, I'm going to pause back off. I'll come back in on the video here in about another 30 or 40 minutes. I'm just going to burn off a little bit of fuel in this thing. Now I'm going to make a suggestion too. I see a lot of people out there that run their FEMA gasifiers, and they hook the generators to them, and they hook an electric drill to them, or some, you know, a shop light or something. You need to really test a generator like this, because all of us need to be making the data available. It's one thing to crank the engine up, but you need to find out exactly what's the usable power that you're getting off the generator. You know, you don't want to be putting out 40 hertz or something because the engine's not able to keep up the RPMs, you know, if you put it under load. But I'm going to make a suggestion that you hook an electric heater to your generator and load it down with 1,000 watts. Most of these little generators I've seen are 2 kilowatt generators. You know, load it down to half its load with a resistive load. Hooking drills and saws to them. Now that's inrush power. When you first turn that thing on, it sucks power like an air conditioner, you know, until the engine spins up, or you're loading it down when you're cutting something or drilling something. But being that I do electronics for a living, I've done it for a long time. If you really want to do a power test, run it into a resistive load, such as run your generator into an electric heater, okay? And that's the worst case scenario that you can put on your generator. That's the proper way to test it, and that'll tell you exactly your working area with your generator. You know, you can find out exactly, okay, if I'm running on wood gas, I can take this much power off of it, you know, before I start losing the RPMs on the engine or losing too much power where my stuff won't run on it. So on that note, everybody, I'm going to pause back out. I will come back in 30 minutes. I'm going to run until my batch of fuel runs out. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at it. Forgive me, I'm working with one hand here. Now remember, I told you there's hardly any smoke in my gasifier. That's all I see out of it until it gets extremely empty. But there it is, and I'm going to pause back out, and I'll be back, guys. Okay, we've been running right at 1 hour on wood gas, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the line feeding the generator. We're going to look at the lowest points of it coming out of the filters. I've already set the light up for it, because I want you guys to see this. I want to get the light off here and see if I can get it pretty close. There's nothing, no condensation, nothing in these lights anywhere. I'm hoping this camera stays focused, but what I'm trying to show you is there's not even so much as any kind of condensation, and there sure as hell isn't any kind of tars or anything that's going to hurt this engine. So I'm pleased with that, and generator is running good. I want to take a temperature measurement of the top of the cylinder head and of the exhaust on the generator here. You've seen the two measurements. The first one, the lower one, was the top of the cylinder head, the top of the engine, and the second one at 500 something degrees was the exhaust. And then I go over here to the pipes, my cooling pipes, before it gets to the filters. Now I don't know if you guys are going to see this or not, but I'm going to try to zoom in again. That's why I'm running a set of cooling pipes the way I am. Because right here, it's cold. Now let's look at the top of the gasifier. I didn't bring the light over here, so I don't know how well this is going to work. The top of the gasifier is about 168 degrees, 172 degrees. The same thing with the pipes going up it. They're about the same, but not bad at all. I wanted you guys to see the flare coming off this. This is what I'm feeding the generator right here. Had to stop it because my spark plug wire came off, and I'm using this to prime the gas up so I don't have to pull it 5,000 times, but I'm fixing to hook it back up, crank back up. But just wanted to see how well the filters actually clean the gas. So I'm going to pause back off, and it has been an hour and a half, just a little bit more before it cut off on me. But like I said, it was the spark plug wire had actually reached over here and touched one of the bolts right about here. It slid over like this and arced out on me before I figured out what was going on. I had just installed this ignition coil on this thing, so that was my bad for not positioning it good. So I'm going to pause the camera and get the generator going again. We're back on wood gas, and it's been well over an hour and a half. What I want to do is take a look, once again, at the pipe leaving the filter at its lowest point of gravity. We're going to look for tar, we're going to look for moisture, or anything that shouldn't be in this line, okay? I don't know how well this is going to show up on the camera, but crystal clear. At the lowest point right there, there's not so much as one drop of anything in this line, nor do you see any tars or anything gooing down, feeding into it here, okay? So that would be a dead giveaway also. But with that white background, you can see inside this pipe that there's not even so much as fog coming through this, okay? It's just like the FEMA. When I was running this tri-filter on the FEMA, the gas is invisible. And I know that I can trust this not to come up an engine beyond a shadow of a doubt. So there it is. And I'm going to pause the camera out, guys. We'll let this thing continue to run. I want to run out the fuel in it. So it looks like I'm going to be running about 3 or maybe even 4 hours off about 16 cups of wood pellets. So that's bad to the bone. And my next test will be with wood chips. So I want to try different fuel mixtures. So I'm going to pause back off. I'll be back in 30. Okay guys, we're back. Since then I've added a fan to the system and got it on high. It's a decent sized power fan. So it's drawing about 150 watts. I'm still running the heater on low. Like I said, anything beyond that, and really the generator can't hold its own with it just because of the nature of the wood gas. Let's see how much fuel's been used. Okay, notice no smoke in my wood hopper, and it's like these wood pellets aren't going down, and I started with 16 cups. So that's pretty cool actually. That's actually really good. Now I'm fixing to disconnect the heater. I'm going to hook up a laptop computer to it just to have a little bit of fun with it. And we'll get this load off of it right here. I'm going to redo this test again, but I'm going to do it with a bunch of 100-watt light bulbs. I went ahead and got the fixtures. I'm pretty sure that this will give me a clean 1,000 watts at 60 hertz with no problem. But when I start crossing 12 to 1300 watts to where I'm at right now, I'm actually right at 1300 watts. That's when I noticed that the generator has a hard time keeping up with it. But now this engine's purring. It hasn't backfired, it hasn't sputtered or stuttered. I'm going to shut up and let you listen. And it's been running solid. The only time that it shut off on me was my spark plug wire had vibrated to where the electrode cap touched the top screw that I'm using to support the external wood gas carburetor on. And that's when I decided to show you guys the clear blue flame that was burning. But there's zero gas, zero fog, anything in the fuel line feeding up to it. So this thing is actually a pretty much a wet dream as far as the way it's going to operate. So I'm going to pause out. I'm going to get the heater off here and I'm going to put a laptop up. And we're going to crank up a laptop. So I'll be right back. Now for those of you who got a good ear, you can hear the RPMs is much higher. And as I said previously, about 1,000 watts is all this is good for with this engine. And be aware this engine does have issues. All right. I just wanted to boot the computer up on here just for the fun of it, because in my eyes, if I've got something that I can watch television on and I've got light throughout the house, then I know I'm good to go. And I could literally run 6 to 8 100-watt light bulbs through the house all at the same time and run a small television and a fan. And that would put me back into civilization. So that's what this is all about. That's what this test is all about. But anyhow, there it is. Computer running on wood gas. I'm pleased with all of this. I still need some tweaking, but other than that, everything really is good to go. So there it is, guys. A wood gas run computer. Now it has been a little bit over 2 hours, so I'm going to mark the time this time so that I know exactly where I stand time-wise. Let's see here. Alright, it's about 10 o'clock on the button right now. And really, I started somewhere around 7:30, but I did have some startup issues, and that was just some dumb things right there on my end. So it's been at least no less than 2 hours, probably closer to 2.5 hours in reality. But I'm going to shut up, and once again, now the generator is not totally under load. Listen how smooth it's running. Alright, I'm going to pause back off, and I'll come back here at the top of the hour, so probably about 10:30. Alright guys, it's 10:30. We've been running roughly about 3 hours now. The only niche that I had was when the electrode feeding the spark plug shorted out against a bolt that I have supporting the wood gas carburetor. So now I want to go back and look at this line again, okay? This is where the rubber meets the road. What we're looking for is nasties, uglies, such as tar, water buildup. I'm going to zoom in. This is the lowest point in the line. I'm going to try and do this slow without a shaky hand here. I'll come back. This is the very lowest point. It's like there was nothing ever in it. Now we're going to go look at the tri-filter where it's coming out of the tri-filter. We'll zoom back out, get the camera to focus again, and zoom back in. If there was anything coming out of this filter, it would definitely be using right there, okay? We're absolutely spotless clean. That's the way I want it. So I'm going to say this again, and I can't stress this enough. If you guys running the FEMAs, you need to try this filter system. I'm going to give you peace of mind that you're not going to have any issues, because you may have a blue flame when you're first lit up and you're burning and get it stable. Unless you're running an absolute clear line so you can see what's going on through time, you never know what may be passing through that line. Because what your fan draws on the gasifier versus what a generator draws on it may be just enough air difference to make it run dirty. So on that note, we're going to pause back off here, and we'll come back in another 30 minutes. I may or may not, but if I don't, I'll sign off early. I didn't expect to run this long out here, but I guess I'm just extremely pleased with what I've seen tonight, and it's absolutely stable. This engine has not sputtered or done anything dumb. The carburetor settings that I set it up on have stayed pretty much true, and it's extremely friendly on fuel. And as a matter of fact, another YouTube user, Joshua Burks, pointed that out, that he also seen a major difference on his FEMA, that he thought it was consuming much less fuel running the generator versus sitting there running it and just burning off gas. So I'll be back in 30 minutes. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Okay guys, we've been running about 3.5 hours on wood gas. I'm running the computer, I'm running this light, and I'm also running about a 100-watt fan on here. So the gasifier is well within specs to run anything. It's at 60 hertz and plenty of power. I'm running low on wood pellets. So I'm going to go over here, we're going to raise the lid up and take a look. I'm going to turn the flashlight on. I'm right at the bottom of it. So that's 16 cups that I put in here, maybe 18, but definitely no more than 16 or 17. So that's not bad. 3.5 hours on a minuscule amount of wood pellets. My next thing will be to try somewhere either this week or maybe next week. I want to try some wood chips that I made. So let's close this down. And I want to take a look at these fuel lines one more time, okay? To me, that's the know-all, see-all as far as how clean the fuel is. So I'm going to grab the light. We're going to look. We're going to go to the lowest point of this line, okay? The extreme lowest point. So we'll try and get it where the light doesn't wash it out too much. Not so much as one drop of water. Nothing. Now, let's go look for tar or anything that's dripping coming out of this tri-filter. I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to try to get a good shadow on this thing so you guys can absolutely see what I'm looking at here. It's so clear that I can see all the way through the pipe and see the fitting on the PVC. I can even see the stains on the PVC through it. Alright, I wanted you guys to see this. Alright. This thing has run flawlessly all night. I've done very little bit of shaking on this thing, and I haven't had to move the grade or do anything on it that much. Just periodically, maybe every 15 minutes, I reach over here and make sure the wood pellets are falling straight down, and I gotta tell you, the wood pellets do work as a good fuel. They're really easy to work with, but so will small pieces of little sticks and everything like I did with the FEMA. Only difference is I'll go through a lot more of that because being the wood pellets are compacted. So had a good run tonight, everybody, and I'm really happy. I feel vindicated that I finally got this thing running and producing electricity. So this is Flash 001 USA. And we're going to shut all this down. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. The test came out really good, and I'm pleased with the results. I got a good 3.5 hour run off of it. Once the generator was cranked up, it purred. Never had any issues except for the one snafu. And what happened was the electrode on top of the spark plug as the engine was vibrating turned it into a screw that I had raised up to support the wood gas carburetor, and it shut it down. That's when I decided, hey, I'm going to show you just how blue the gas is burning before I go ahead and prime everything back up and start it back up. Also, if you notice, I showed you the gas lines, and I made clear gas lines for this reason. I wanted to, first of all, demonstrate that the tri-filter system is as good as what I'm saying it is. that there was no moisture in the lines anywhere. There was no tar drippage, nothing. It's just like clear gas, the same way it was when I first designed them and I demonstrated it with my FEMA system. Which brings me to another point. Guys, those of you that are running the FEMA system, you've now seen that this tri-filter system works. It breathes well enough for the generator to run. I'm going to make a suggestion. Use this build. I'm going to tell you why. You may see a good blue gas burning when you're running your fan and seeing it blow out before you hook it to the generator. But when you hook your gas line to it, it may be a different draw that the generator's taking on it. Therefore, your gas may get dirtier. Maybe it's not. Maybe it gets cleaner. I don't know. But you don't know either unless you have a way of seeing it. That's why I use the clear pipe. But my suggestion would be to try this tri-filter system, because this could be the difference in you having to rebuild an engine due to tar damage. Okay, now, mine was a 2 kilowatt generator. I ran a full kilowatt on it with no issues. The RPM stayed up within reason to keep it, I think, around 57, 58 hertz, close enough to 60 hertz where I wasn't concerned about damaging any electronics, okay? Anything above 12 and 1300 watts on it, I started noticing that the engine started dropping in RPM, but it still ran smooth. But then again, they do say to expect only 50 to 70% of your total horsepower out of the engine, if I'm not mistaken, on wood gas versus gasoline, which means to fix that, you just use a larger engine to get the original power that you need to get out what you're trying to get in the first place. Now, I want to make one more suggestion for you guys out there running the FEMA, so I want you to try something. I see a lot of people testing their generators hooked up to drills and saws, and that's good. You know, you got that inrush current, but try it with an electric heater. So if you got a 2 kilowatt generator, try you a small electric heater on it, okay? Because what you can do is, especially if you got one that's selectable, you can run it like at half the wattage and then full wattage, and use something to monitor the voltage with so you can see how much of a loss you have. This will give you a good marker as to where your generator is actually useful and safe to run, especially with sensitive electronics. And that's a good tool to have and a good something to have under your belt so that you don't overtax the generator and hurt something that has sensitive electronics, such as a television or something. Now, you can run lights on it all day long. You're not going to have an issue, naturally. But with that said, everybody, I'm going to be doing more tests where I tried this with wood chips that I've made. I'm also going to be trying a couple different things with different loads on this. So I've got a few more tests under my belt. And as I said, I do have a trailer. I'm going to be mounting this thing up on it because the whole idea was to have a portable power system that was not dependent on the oil companies. So with that said, everybody, this is Flash 001 USA, and I want to tell everybody good night. Bye-bye.